Dan Willis here, and we're talking about public records on your credit report and specifically how to get public records removed from your credit report. Now, this is the second video in a series of videos about public records on your credit report, and all three credit bureaus on July 1st, 2017 agreed to implement new data standard requirements. We discussed this here in the earlier video. If you happen to miss it, we'll include a link in the description below. But these new data standard requirements are game changers to getting public records off of your credit report, and long before 7 to 10 slow, expensive, frustrating years just ticks by. And this is also regardless of the circumstances of the debt. In the past, it would help to get it off of your credit report, typically if the debt was paid, but these new changes and these new data standard requirements have really changed everything. So without further ado, let's get to it. In the first place is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. This says the maximum amount of time that any item can stay on your credit report, but it also gives you the ability to challenge and dispute any item on your credit report so long as you believe it's misleading, incorrect, or made in error. And yes, we're going to dispute this public record, and there's three ways to file your credit report dispute. You can do it online, over the phone, or by mail. Once the credit bureaus get your dispute, they first get to deem it valid or frivolous. This is another conversation for another time and place, so of course subscribe and join our congregation. You can also visit a link in the description below over to our website where we have a free report, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. Now, once the credit bureaus get your dispute and they deem it valid, the Fair Credit Reporting Act requires them to investigate the item. They'll call it a reinvestigation, nevertheless, during which they're going to contact the data furnisher. This is either the courthouse directly, or in the past, there were third-party companies that would actually gather and compile public record data information and then provide that to the credit bureaus. Nevertheless, they're going to contact the data furnisher because they need to have that account verified. So they're going to request verification of the account. If the account is verified, then it will remain on your credit report. But the more common result of credit bureau investigations is an item is not verified. And if this is not verified, then in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the credit bureaus must remove that item from your credit report. And this is how to legally remove bad credit from your credit report without just waiting 7 to 10 long, expensive, and embarrassing years. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now, excuse us, on a side note, if this public record is on all three of your credit reports with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, you're going to have to file 3 separate credit disputes, 1 dispute per bureau. And the big challenge, and where most people just give up and live with bad credit, is getting the credit bureaus to deem your dispute valid and follow the law and subsequently investigate the item or reinvestigate. Most often, your dispute will be found frivolous and they'll request additional information. Comply with their request and provide them this additional information, but recognize that this is most often just a tactic on their behalf with the attempt to frustrate you and the ultimate goal of getting you to just give up and go away, because most people do. And you won't hear this elsewhere, but the credit bureaus only spend money when they investigate or reinvestigate consumer disputes. This money is very directly otherwise profit and dividends paid to their stockholders. Contrary to popular belief, the credit bureaus are for-profit businesses just like Starbucks, just like Target, just like Facebook. They're not a government agency. They're only regulated by our government, and they have a terrible track record, to be really nice about it. In 2015, all 3 of the credit bureaus agreed to settle and pay $6 million to 31 state attorney generals for allegedly violating consumer rights. Just a few years ago, 60 Minutes featured a story sharing just how darn near impossible it is for the average guy to remove even the most obvious of errors from their credit reports. Credit bureaus have been repeatedly fined and for decades by the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, our government for violating consumer rights. This is in addition to countless individual consumer lawsuits. Yet Congress still believes the credit bureaus are who should decide if a dispute is valid and subsequently investigated and subsequently an expense, or if it's frivolous, which is subsequently more profit for the credit bureaus and no expense. And it's a one-sentence explanation of the $4 billion per year in revenue that the credit bureaus are estimated to earn. They have and continue to invest every single year millions of dollars in Washington lobbyists to influence our politricksters, and with great effect. I mean, truly, they have really influenced these guys big time. One of the best and greatest examples is in 2013 with a woman named Julie Miller. Julie woke up one day to discover 38 bogus collection accounts were on her Equifax credit report. So she followed the law, she filed her Equifax dispute. And they found it frivolous. Over the next 2 years, Julie provided Equifax with her W-2, her pay stubs, tax returns, hair samples, DNA, her firstborn child. Yes, that's a small exaggeration. And it was still being found frivolous. After 2 years, Julie finally got fed up and filed a civil lawsuit and actually sued these guys. Equifax. She was awarded by a federal jury $18.6 million, which was later reduced by a federal judge to $1.8 million. But here's the kicker. A federal judge gave Julie as compensatory damages. These are the damages to make your life whole again, the real life, the actual true damages, $180,000. And then he awarded her $1.62 million in punitive damages. That's just for the annoyance, the frustration, and the aggravation of this situation. A full 9 times more. That's how bad and how reprehensible he viewed Equifax's behavior. And this is just an example, and it was supposed to be to try and teach the credit bureaus, and especially Equifax, a lesson, which is debatable given the 2017 data breach where they exposed over half this country, 140 million Americans, personal vital information to foreign hackers. So it's arguable, and if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now to wrap this up here, your credit score is a lot like your grade point average in glory school days past. It doesn't matter if you're acing all your courses if you're failing the art of walking, because that negative mark is going to ruin your overall GPA. This too is true of your credit score and your credit reports. This is why it is so imperative, in order to get a better credit score, that we take action to remove any of those dings, those blemishes, or those negative items from your credit report, because that's what's causing a low credit score. We encourage, and these new data standard requirements are truly revolutionary. They really change the game when it comes to removing public records from your credit report. We encourage our members to consider professional, legal, and legitimate credit repair companies to help with this, because the good news is in 2016 alone, over 9 million negative marks were removed from consumer credit reports. One of the best firms is the Credit Pros. They've successfully helped their clients remove public records, late payments, charge-offs, collections, judgments, tax liens, bankruptcies, and so many more negative credit report items. If you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Again, that's for a free credit consultation, and the toll-free phone number is 1-877-418-7596. This is Dan Willis. We'll include a link in the description below over to an article at our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. Of course, subscribe and join our congregation. Have a fantastic day, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.